Hey, what's up, everybody? So I just saw this video from the Bucks on X, and it seems like Dane's making some progress. Look like he's on the treadmill. I guess you call those machines trying to help you with the like balance your legs and stuff like that. And like what was it though? Week after he tore his Achilles, he ended up having surgery. So but then again, you got like machines and stuff today that's going on and all that stuff. So I'd be shocked if he like really comes back, middle of the season at the earliest. So yeah, it'd be one of those shocking things. You're like, whoa, really? But yeah, this ain't what this video was supposed to be about. But I saw this and I just had to look at it and talk about it. It is on his Instagram, so y'all, if you guys get a chance, check it out. So I'm glad that he's making progress. And like I said, with machines and all that stuff, the new technology today, you'll be surprised. He'll probably be back. 6 months from now. You're like, whoa, okay. So well, this ain't what this video is about. So this is about trade ideas by Bucks fans or wannabe Bucks fans, wherever you want to call it. So yep, is that video, and Barrett is at it again, and I just don't get what is his mindset. What this is. So he's been obsessed with this ever since like last week. He mentioned about Demonis Sabonis. I know I probably said his name wrong the last time or the last video, and so I guess he claimed that he saw the Bucks around Giannis in his opinion, not everybody else's, not even mine, his opinion. So and it's just like half the his opinion. Like you're looking at stats, but you're not looking at the person that could they probably have a problem age wise and stuff like that. Because I know we was talking about try to get younger, but with the exception of one of my crazy idea, I said maybe the Bucks can get Chris Paul, but that was just have Chris Paul can have his final season. Maybe win championship, get to play with Giannis, and after that, that'll be they win it, and that would just like settle everything for Chris Paul. What a way for him to go out with winning a championship. But that was just my idea, and just want to toss that around. But yeah, I'm just now seeing this. So I guess this three-team trade. I'm glad this was used by Fanspo, but I don't think he did this. I think he saw somebody else's video and probably posted it. But if he did this, shame. But so the Bucks will get. Let's see, was it Damian Sabonis, um, Herbert Jones? Is I don't know why would we need Herbert Jones. Like we would have like enough wings already, so I don't get that part. But the Pelicans end up getting Bobby Portis, our freaking 47 pick of this year, our 2026 second round pick, which we may not even get, and our 2031 first round pick. Like seriously, the Kings get Damian Lillard and 2031 second round pick. Although the cap impact would be, Bucks would save like nearly 10 million. Pelicans can save, 491,000, and the I guess Kings are the only ones that probably can absorb this contract. So without further ado, before I end up getting mad about it, but let's hear what Boy Genius had to say.
I'm starting to get a little bit excited again. I'm starting to talk myself back into the Bucks having a shot to turn things around and get things going in a really nice direction again and have a chance to win a championship again. Now, maybe I'm going to be deluding myself, and at the end of the day, with Doc Rivers as the coach, it won't matter. But I'm starting to see real wiggle room for the Bucks to actually have a shot. And now, this does involve throwing away basically every single pick that the Bucks have on the table. But I think that there is a way to bring in guys that are going to be big impact players for the rest of Giannis's prime. And so today, I combined two guys that could very likely be available in free agency this year. Not free agency, as trade targets this year. One that has been widely reported in Herb Jones, which I don't really get what the Pelicans are doing. I'll get into that for a second. Their part of things is a little bit more complicated, but for the Kings, it's super straightforward. And if I'm running the Kings, I'd be looking to offload Sabonis. And I think for the Bucks are actually one of the few teams where I would want him. I think for a lot of teams, Sabonis doesn't make sense. You need a very specific setup, but I think the Bucks actually do have that setup. So this is some.
No, they don't. No, they don't. I don't get what this obsession with Domantas Sabonis. I really don't. Ever since you talked about it last week, I'm not saying I'm for like getting Sabonis, and I'm not saying I'm against it either. But you just gotta convince me otherwise. Like, why would we try to risk getting Domantas Sabonis and get rid of Bobby Portis and Damian Lillard and our picks? I don't see that. I understand you trying to like build around rounds and stuff like that, but get rid of the picks. And possible the 2026 second round pick we may not even have, depending on where Utah is going to land. So this is really ridiculous. No, because they can use their second round pick this year for something else. But like I said, at the same time, they can buy, they can give cash considerations for a second round pick. So maybe it could be, the very last pick of the draft like they've done in the past. That's a possibility. Or maybe before, they may be talking to some teams and like, okay, you probably don't want your, second round pick or whatever. How about we take them off your hands, give you cash considerations, and maybe give our 2031 second round pick. Something that you could be usable for it. So yeah, your second round picks, sure, go ahead, throw them, but not all your second round picks, and not your first either. It's like, are you kidding me? Really? No.
Is something that I feel like is realistic and can get
No,
the
it's
Bucks
not.
going. And I'm going to have another way to do this where the Bucks do not get rid of Damian Lillard, but I'm going to go with the more anti-Bucks way, where the Bucks throw away every pick, they throw away Damian Lillard, and they don't throw bad contracts in there. This is to suit the people that are like, well, the other team wouldn't do that, because this is one that, yes, this one's more risky for the Bucks, but I still think that it improves the Bucks. I think that
It would, with Domantas Sabonis, it will help them with their rebounding and scoring. Probably like a better offensive player than Brook. Maybe Sabonis is a little bit better of a defense player than Brook when it comes to his feet. But I don't see anything else around this. Not Sabonis. Not saying Sabonis is not like a defensive guy, but he's not that big answer like a rim protector or anything like that. So I do not see that. And yeah, get rid of like Bobby Portis, and y'all probably saw like 2 videos ago that he's most likely going to opt in. So I don't see why the Bucks is going to end up trading Bobby Portis. I just don't see it. I can understand, they said like, okay, like Damian Lillard ain't gonna be back. We got, this, got to dump this money somewhere. So that I can understand. Like it would be sad to see, Damian Lillard go. But in the same time, I understand why, they had to do what they got to do. But this is ridiculous. This trade is ridiculous.
That getting rid of Dame, I get it. The level of a guy that he is, but
people are always taking pics of me, but they're sleeping on who the real.
At the end of the day, his chemistry with Giannis, it's
He had a streak of having good videos until this one. Like since last week, he had a good streak of making good videos and having like good ideas, except for this one, and just ruined it. He just ruined it. So that's just my 2 cents. Is so
definitely not an A. It got better, but overall, him and Giannis do not complement each other. I would say last year they had some really good moments, and I wouldn't say that they weren't like the worst combination, but it was pretty clear that when Dame went out, Giannis went to another level. When Giannis went out, Dame went to another level, and it was never like when they're on the floor together, they make each other better. I don't think they ever got to that level. And so with Dame being out with torn Achilles, I think
if Dame comes back, I think they will know a little bit better, especially those experience. Being in the getting eliminated from the first round. The Persa series last year, like you had no Giannis. Then in the year before Dame got in there, you had Giannis, but like certain limited games, and you had all Giannis. This past playoffs, and yeah, he was on another level, but the problem was like they were starting to like click, and then some injuries happened, and like with Giannis and Dame, like Dame been out for like a certain amount of days, and same thing with Giannis. Then suddenly Dame got this blood cough, and looks like they was about to like start clicking, and yeah. Like I said, that's the nature of the beast. Injuries does happen, and kind of sucks it does. So it's kind of like seeing like for the curse for the Bucks for the past 3 seasons. Well, 3 playoffs, I should say. I was gonna say season 2. Might as well add that on there.
at his age, unloading him for Sabonis, I think that probably would be worth it.
No.
And even throwing in a second rounder, and for the Kings, it's basically a shorter contract. It would Dame out for the year. That would allow them to tank for a year, and then having him.
Oh yeah, there was something on the news today from Journal Sentinel that the NBA is not gonna like credit the Bucks like any cash due to Damian Lillard being out like most of the or all the season. So I don't know if they really look on the note like if Damian Lillard's gonna be completely out for the season or whatever, but for them not like giving the Bucks the relief for them for like Dame's injury. Maybe there's something there that he may be back sooner than what we think. So that'll be something, and hopefully I'm seriously just think Damian does need to change his game a little bit, because I know they were saying let Dame be Dame. Like in some games it doesn't work, but some games it doesn't. So I'm just thinking they can try to like do something different, like with Dame, like because he's getting older. He should be more of a because we know Damian Lillard can pass, so maybe he should like stick to more of that, like giving out assists, and maybe score when you really need to with him, and probably let other excuse me, the other players around you like give them the rock and let them score, and like because it could be they could have a young lineup. That's just my opinion, and like Kevin Porter Jr. is like a good example, that a player that can score and a player that can pass, and like very young, so can use that. He'll probably would be a good starting point guard, or you can use Ryan Rollins to get him like more experience. But you know what I mean. But then again, hopefully, Doc is actually going to use like some of these young players and play.
Is that one or
Yeah,
wait?
one. That's one.
Okay. I mean, it's like one or wait.
But anyways, but yeah, like I don't understand why you try to go for Demonis Sabonis. Like, if he was a free agent, that's one thing, but I know they would have like 3 years left of him. Like, they can do like a combination of you do Bobby Portis and Demonis Sabonis like in the lineup. Like, at least Bobby will at least get like a block or two. You're not gonna see that much from Demonis Sabonis. So like I said, there was a couple of players that are named in the draft that they are like big centers that can do everything, but we know they gonna need some development going on. But and also there was another report that there's a possibility that the Bucks may be smart enough to pick like in the draft like somebody that had like at least that had like 4 years of college experience in the college ball. So like the approach they did with Malcolm Brogdon, got him from the second round, play all 4 years in college and saw the results. Like, yeah, it did work for him, but it's just sad that they just decided to trade him. But at the same time, kind of ruined that moment. Although that did the move did kind of help him like get a championship in the way. But at the same time, it would have been cool to kept Malcolm Brogdon instead of Eric Bledsoe. So I was just like shocked about it. I did understand it because they was trying to save money. I don't know why. Because you got these rich owners that was willing to spend. So I think that was more on the GM than the owners.
The net following season, off season, coming off like having been fully healed, that'll be a good trade piece for them for the upcoming year, for them to basically be able to tank, which they should be looking to do. They have bad contracts that you're not going to be able to win with, like DeRozan. They already got rid of Fox for picks. I think it's time for them to finally like just rebuild it, and so I think that would make a lot of sense for them. And for the Pelicans, like I said, I don't really understand why Herb Jones and Trey Murphy are available for them. I don't understand if that's like to try and rebuild, but with the Zion allegation.
I don't understand why you tamed the idea to try to get Herbert Jones and get Pelicans like most of our picks. Really.
And just the mess that they've been, I guess I could understand them starting over. I wouldn't do it if I were them. I'd almost be like trying to build around Trey and Herb. But the reports are widely out there that Trey and Herb are available. Doesn't make sense to me. If I'm the Pelicans, I would not be having them be available. But that's what the reports are. And so I would assume, no matter which way they're going, the only unprotected first-round pick the Bucks have, probably when Giannis is out of his prime at that point, 6 years from now, I think another team would say, at 36 years old, they're going all in on right now. That pick might be extremely valuable. And even if we have to, throw in a couple of seconds, throw in Bobby, and then you get 2 years of Herb Jones, who's one of the best wing defenders in the league. And then you get a little bit of the cover-up of Sabonis' weakness even more there. I think for the Bucks, Sabonis makes a lot of sense because, yes, Sabonis isn't a rim protector, but Giannis is at the 4. And Sabonis actually, I would say, is a better perimeter he's 100% a better perimeter defender than Brook, where you could put him on an island, say, guarding just like any basic stretch big, and he'll do a better job staying in front, moving his feet than Brook Lopez did. He won't give you the rim protection, but he won't be like
Yeah, that's the point. Rim protection. That's what all centers today are, especially the ones that you're getting out of like college, and especially like the tall and lanky ones like Victor Wembanyama. That's what's in this decade. It's tall and lanky centers that can actually shoot and defend and can protect the rim. Now that's what's supposed to be a center, supposed to be really is. Because like I said, the NBA, has developed over, the decades, and some of us, stuck on, certain principles to a certain point, which the principles that you be stuck on make sense. Then you got, the younger generation that, see these roles and these morals and stuff like that, and just go like the opposite. It's just not making sense.
As like embarrassing against fast-paced teams and force-pacing teams as Brooke was. But with
honey, where are you going with all that?
Gotta renew our passports, and lines at the renewal office can be super long.
with his weakness and not being able to help out defensively at all, I think that Herb Jones being a solid, lanky, weak side defender could definitely help out along with Giannis. And so this is something that I brought up as kind of my new dream for the Bucks. And now I'm going to get into the scenario where they keep Dame, but this is kind of what
Saboner. I don't get that. Saboner. I said in the last video, he used to start calling him Saboner. I don't get that. I really don't. Because I know half of the people are just like, what? So his dream team agenda, the Bucks and 4 agenda mixed with mine's. I thought that's probably like all you. Tyrus Jones, AJ Green, Herb Jones, Giannis, and Sabonis. Then you got Kevin Porter Jr. as your 6th man, Rollins, Tyler Smith, Jericho Sims. I guess they doing that like as a 9-man rotation, but I think I would stick with a 10-man rotation until the playoffs. But like I said, earlier with like the Tyrus Jones idea that he had, that was like guards that's available. Like I said, with Tyrus Jones right now, it's a question mark. Just in case, like if you can't get, Kevin Porter, if Kevin Porter Jr. won't keep his player option, then ask for more money than the Bucks can afford, then yeah, get somebody else that you can, maybe like him. But I'm just saying, just out of the two between Tyrus Jones and Dennis Schroeder, my opinion, I would go with Dennis Schroeder, but that's just me. Like I said, why Herb Jones, keep him in there? You got a solid defender of Andre Jackson Jr., which he can't stand. Let's say Ryan Rollins, of course. And I'm surprised, yeah, and it looks like he ain't got Gary Trent Jr. in his lineup either. So no, we're like I said, I hope the Bucks keep Gary Trent Jr. Like, just give him the contract he deserves. They can do that if they don't re-sign Brook Lopez. So they can do that. Like I said, they got possibilities, and plus, if you re-sign, Rollins and you get to keep, Kevin Porter Jr., he accepts his option. You can have Kevin Porter Jr. in the starting lineup because I think he's going to work more harder than ever, like to earn like a big contract. So I can see that because most of these guys that got their player option, they have until nearly the end of this month, to decide. So yeah, May was going kind of quick already, so I was like surprised about that, but like I understand if you put AJ Green in the starting lineup, then you probably will have like if you decide put Gary Trent Jr. into the small forward department, maybe so, but he might get bullied with like bigger defenders, but then again, like he's just been so good at defense and stuff like that this past season, so I can understand why they would have Gary Trent Jr. at the small forward. Even AJ Green, because he can hold his own too. Shooting guard, small forward, maybe. Because I thought AJ Green was 6'5", but they listed him as 6'4". And of course, Gary Trent Jr. is 6'5", so possibly you can put him into small forward if you want to. Then, you got Giannis, and I don't know. I'm thinking they either going to have Jericho Sims, the starting five, or they might end up using whatever draft pick they get. But I do agree that they need to have Tyler Smith, some minutes. Especially, you saw like glimpses of like something good with him this past season. And I just don't understand why Doc just didn't use him at the time they did. Only had like Brook Lopez as a center, and then you have most of your big men out but him. So, I just didn't get that at all. I really didn't.
Kind of what I'm thinking. And now that I'm thinking through it a little bit more, I would say, if it comes down to it, and honestly, in this new version, probably replace re-signing Ryan Rollins with re-signing Gary Trent. Because if you lose on Dame, you're losing on scoring. I want to bring that scoring punch. It's a little bit more important to me than bringing in Ryan Rollins' youth and defense. Because with Herb Jones as a bonus, I'm going win now mode. And so if I'm running the team, I want to bring back Gary. And I'm thinking with Herb Jones and Giannis, the defense is going to be there, and we're in win now mode. But I'm looking to get Tyus Jones on a cheap deal in free agency. AJ Green, Herb Jones, Giannis Sabonis. Offense is phenomenal. But let's just say for a minute,
I don't know much about Herb Jones, so I can't say anything about it. And of course, Domantas Sabonis is a good, offensive player. Of course, good offensive rebounder too. It's just defensive wise, like with him, I'm just like in a question mark. So, like I said earlier, I'm not against it, and I'm not for it either. So, I don't know if they trade for something. If they get him for something, that makes sense, then yeah. But it's just right now, the Bucks don't have no options on how to get Sabonis, and not trading Bobby Portis. That's not a thing. No.
for a matchup, you have a dominant big man, and Sabonis isn't playing great defense. I don't think he's the liability other people think he is. Like I said, he was asked to anchor a defense with guys like De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, Levine, and so he was kind of, it's like Gobert at times on the Jazz was thought of as like a weak link defensively because he was behind Bogdanovich and Donovan Mitchell and guys like that. And not to say that Sabonis is a Gobert-style defender, anywhere near that level, but my thing is, I think he's more closer to an average defender than a truly terrible defender. It's just that he's been asked to cover up a team full of terrible defenders, which he's not capable of. But my point is, I don't think he's going to be a liability, but if you have matchups where he isn't doing well, you could go to a lot of different identities with this team. You could go defense, but also switchability. You could play Giannis at the 5, Herb at the 4. You could go Giannis at the 5, maybe Rollins at the 4. You could go Jericho Sims at the 5, Giannis at the 4, Herb at the 3, Trent and Kevin Porter Jr. at the 1, where you have just defense everywhere. And then you have lineups where it's just shooting everywhere around Giannis, and it's just going to be impeccable offense, decision makers, and shooters. Tyus Jones, one of the best passers in the league in terms of assist-turnover ratio. He's the best ever. AJ Green, one of the best shooters in the league. Sabonis, one of the best passing big men, and a 42% three-point shooter. And you could bring Gary Trent in there as a great shooter as well. I think that this team with Giannis would have a chance to make some serious noise and cause some problems. And now he is potentially an even better version of this team.
Gee, I wonder what's next.
That my man on Twitter, he made an account recently, but he just cooks up wild trade ideas, and it's very interesting. It's definitely a must-follow account if you're on Twitter, if you're a Bucks fan. Kevin Rollins Jr. over here.
Yeah, I follow him.
Yeah, definitely, like every day, post some interesting trade ideas.
But that don't mean his trade ideas are good. I haven't seen any great ones so far that, like, because I've seen like a few of his trade ideas. But yeah, the guy's also a Bucks fan as well. I don't see any of these ideas where, it will help the most. I really do not see it. So let me see like a little bit more of this one as I'm just reading on.
ideas. And so this was his way of getting it done. I asked him if he could create a scenario where we get both, and this one was just like probably better for the Bucks, but I made my own just because I was assuming there was going to be people saying, "Oh, the Kings wouldn't do this, the Pelicans wouldn't do this," and this one I'm more worried about the.
No, they wouldn't. Like, you can be the biggest Kyle Kuzma hater all you want, but you got to do something that makes sense. And get rid of some of our best assets. And I can understand, throwing impact content in there, but we still don't know if he's going to, like, accept his player option. But we're kind of thinking that he is. And, of course, we know Bobby Portnoy is going to, accept his player option. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, like a week later, okay, Bobby Portis is traded, although he accepts his player option. Think. And what makes you think that Kevin Porter Jr. is going to accept his player option or not? Like, these are like unknown unknowns, but I know, some fans, do this for fun and stuff like that. But if you're trying to do something like just to make a point, this ain't it. Because we know Barrett is not a great on Kyle Kuzma. He's not great on Andre Jackson Jr. Which he's upset with his scoring, but not with like actually a good defender that handle the breaks when it comes to guarding Tyrese Halliburton, which was one of Doc's mistakes, is not using Andre Jackson Jr. to guard Tyrese Barnum. I'll probably say his last name wrong, so sorry. But anyways, no, I do not see this trade. No, and that's still adding, getting rid of our draft capital. No, it's like, okay, for getting the player, like Kyle Kuzma and getting the player like Bobby Portis. Where's our value? What picks do we get? Because ain't no team ain't gonna be like, okay, I ain't gonna get no picks unless we want. If it's like a big name star you was trading for and you got rid of like these amount of picks, I can understand. But yeah, Domantas Sabonis is a all-star, but he's not that movable player that be like, okay, we got another all-star on here. So he's not that type of player. Herbert Jones, like I said, I got a question mark on there, but no, I'm not getting rid of this year's draft pick, then 2031 second round and 2031 first round. No, the draft picks that we got from 31 and that point on for first round, we gotta keep. Because just say Giannis does say yes, and they staying with the Bucks, then maybe I don't know if he's available for extension, but maybe they'll give him a little extension, be like one of the highest players in the league. Probably very close to being like a billionaire, especially shoe deals and commercials he'd be on and all that stuff. So some people don't think some of these players may not make extra money. So the thing is, LeBron James is also the first active NBA player that's like gotta have like over $1 billion with his business deals and NBA contracts and his shoes deals and stuff like that. So I think, in my opinion, Giannis could be the next active NBA player that will like reach like $1 billion. We know like players like on players that retired and stuff like that reach that too. You got Shaq, you got Junior Bridgman. Yeah, he died recently. Like he ended up only half Wendy's, and there were some other ones that he ended up owning too. Like of course Jet Magazine, and of course Shaq. Him owning everything and anything, plus now a CEO of DC Studios. Just crazy. Let me just play this a little bit.
The Pelicans not doing it, but for this one you could keep Damian Lillard, and I'm sure there's gonna be people saying like, oh, maybe the Kings wouldn't do this either. Why would they want Connaughton and Kuzma? But it's like I explained earlier. I think the Kings are in a spot where Sabonis' 3-year deal that gets to $49 million by year 3, they'd be just willing to offload that and just tank. Kuzma helps them tank.
That may not always be the case because they still got Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, so they could be on the verge of, like, not saying like win now mode, but like at least be able to make it to the playoffs and like increase that. So they probably would make some moves like to do that, but I think there's no way they're gonna get rid of Domantas Sabonis. And like I said, like I'm not for it and I'm not against it either. But I got a feeling that this is a bad idea.
It's a shorter deal. Connaughton's an expiring contract. And then you get young assets in Kevin Porter Jr. and Andre Jackson, as well as 3 second-round picks. The 1 first-round pick to the Pelicans might be light, but now that I think about it more, 2031 really should be pretty valuable for another team. Like I said, the moves I'm making is like the Bucks have like a 2-3 year window. Let's do it now. But 6 years from now, when Giannis is 36, the Bucks would probably be in some trouble, and that could be an incredibly valuable pick. So I could see the Pelicans doing that, especially since they're saying Herb Jones is available. And so this is a scenario where you could have Dame, AJ Green, Gary, Herb Jones, and then Giannis. You could play small ball, but you put Sabonis at the 5 and just go Dame, AJ Green, Herb, Giannis, Sabonis. If that could be a 5, oh my God, look out. Dame, AJ Green, Herb Jones, Giannis, Sabonis. And then if our defense is struggling right now, you can sub Dame out, maybe have Ryan Rollins still there, put him in for Dame. You can sub Sabonis out, put Jericho Sims off the bench. Tyler Smith will still be around. These are my targets, Herb Jones and Sabonis. If I'm John Horst, that's what I'm looking for right now, and I'm trying to...
If I'm John Horst, as soon as you would have said that, I would have turned this video off and turned the other way. And would not think. See, that's why we're not GMs. Because we may think of some moves, that we think is common sense. Then you got people like Barrett that just do a move where he thinks by stats, and it ain't always about stats when it comes to make certain moves. Because sorry, window. But at the same time, we kind of pay for that, by getting Dame. So we think we was going to get like 2 30 points a game scorers with Giannis and Dame. But Dame is getting older. So, like, I don't get this scenario either. If you John Horst, turn away from that video and don't even pay attention to it. Just look the other way. Look the other way. And ignore this. So, sorry, but this one's getting a dislike. So, of course he ain't solved no Bucks problem around Giannis. I'm sorry guys, I just don't see this working. I really don't. And the more you hear Barrett talk, the more of and sorry to say this, but more of a moron that he's becoming. And maybe some people is right, maybe is something wrong with him. But, something's wrong with me too. But half of the time, we got, common sense, and, half of his followers on here ain't no good either. So just, let's see, what's the evidence that the Kings want to go from playing team to tanking? Not everyone is going for a championship. The issue with the second trade is why can't the Kings get more Sabonis than 2 stupid contracts? They can. The issue is with the first one, is if a team is tanking, they want access, not a €50 million a year old player. Makes 0 sense. Thank you. This is another one. Don't know why some people talking Kuminga. He rejected $150 million contract extension. Insane unless getting him for just a year is good enough for Milwaukee unless he proves himself. He may be available for them to. No, 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 no. There's no way they're going to do this. And plus, there's already news out there that Bucks are done with Brook. Brook is most likely just going to be a free agent. I think the first one of the Kings passed because of Dame's injury, of course. They need a second just to take on Dame's negative contract. Sabonis isn't necessarily a negative contract, but I don't know. What if the Bucks add Brook to that deal instead of Kevin Porter Jr.? I don't see that either, but I do see them trying to keep, Kevin Porter Jr. I would do that trade without KPJ, and do we keep Gary? Yeah. That's a good trade, but I do not want to do that. I do not want to trade that many picks. Exactly. Yep. Yep. I will do the trade, but I want to keep, of course, KBJ, Gary, and our 47 pick, and okay, the 2026 swap worst pick. That's that's what we got. Not this coming year, but next year. And put the funds down on that because we don't know if that's true. Okay. Okay, this person said, I've been saying for years Giannis' second best player has to be an elite center because Giannis plays the point. So right now Sabonis is the best trade for. No, because you have Sabonis that can pass too. Like say ain't nothing wrong with it, but still. Milwaukee can acquire Jeremy Grant and also for Kuzma Connaughton. Grant has a down season like Kuzma, and for the price that Portland is paying Grant, they rather have Kuzma for the cheap contract. Milwaukee can also trade no Tyler Smith. He's not going anywhere. For Kuminga and the sign and trade, Giannis, Grant, Kuminga would be okay. That's their dream front court lineup. I'm sorry, but some of these YouTubers just really irks me, and like half of the things they say it just don't make any sense at all. But let me know what y'all think. Y'all can drop a comment below, so I want to hear y'all opinions and we can talk about it. If you like today's video, please give it a like. Subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so please help with that. Over 2,700 videos and counting. So if you're interested in Bucks content, wrestling content, comic book, movies, and TV news content, and also Milwaukee development content, you will like this channel. So please check us out. And we're one of the longest reigning channels on YouTube. So we've been there as very close to the beginning. Of course, thank our sponsors, Mike and Robin Thompson and Midwest Wrestling Collectibles. You're interested in like some wrestling items? Check out Midwest Wrestling Collectibles on Facebook. And sorry, it's just sudden out of nowhere today. My tooth just started hurting, or it could be my gums. But yeah, also check out our website, WrestlingFansSpeakOut.weebly.com, with upcoming events in the Midwest, meet and greets in the Midwest, photos that we took, at some areas like meet and greets, and also, Bucks events as well. So check that website out. Man up, face up, woman up, face up, wherever you want to call it, wherever gender you are. So once again, thank you guys for watching. Until the next video, you guys have a good one, and I'm going to do something about this tooth.